All right, guys, welcome back. Zach and Silly podcast. It is right now. It's Sunday, September 25th. We're doing this right now. It's 10 o'clock where I am. Sully just moved to Texas.
Hey now.
Or
it's almost 9 o'clock right now.
Okay, so you're an hour back then. I thought you might have been like 2 hours or so. I didn't know. I'm in Texas.
Yeah, it's almost 9 o'clock. No, I'm only an hour back. It was kind of cool traveling, like, because we drove down to get here, and you cross that threshold, and you kind of think, and you're like, oh, I'm only this far away, and then you realize, no, you're actually an extra hour away.
So how was the drive down there anyways? You literally must have been driving some pretty interesting states. I saw you were in Arkansas at one point. That must have been cool.
Arkansas is weird, man. I don't know. All right, I'll give you the quick 3-minute summary of the trip. So I stayed in Columbus, Ohio the first night. Booked a hotel in Columbus, Ohio. Left from Western Mass, so it was supposed to take about 10 hours to get to
Where'd you stay in Columbus? Like what hotel?
It was like a Holiday Inn or something like that.
Okay. Were you like in downtown, or were you like outside the city? Or
I was 8 miles from Buckeye Donuts. To give you
okay.
Or no, I was like 8 miles from Buckeye, because I was gonna go in the morning, but I was like, it's too far. So we had a U-Haul truck with my car being towed on the back. And we had to get to Columbus for the first night because I already had booked the hotel room. And we were like, I wonder if they're gonna, like make us check in by a certain time. So I called the guy at the hotel, and he's like, oh yeah, don't worry. As long as you come before 2 o'clock in the morning, you'll be fine. Like, you can check in and everything. We're like, all right, we're definitely we're on pace to get there at like 11:30, something ridiculous like that. All of a sudden, we hit tons of traffic right in the beginning of the trip, so that puts us back like 40 minutes. Then we realize it has us getting there for 11:40 or whatever it is. If we go the speed limit the entire way, what we didn't realize is the speed limit turns from 65 to 70 and 75, kind of as you're going. And we were like, all right. So we were
you didn't get pulled over, did you?
No, we didn't get pulled over, but
I was going to say that you're a great track record of traveling and getting pulled over by the police all the time.
No, thank God we didn't get pulled over. But so we were losing time as we were going, and we made it. We had to check in by 2 o'clock in the morning, or I was going to lose like $80, and we got there at 1:45. So
Jesus,
that was pretty stressful. But I didn't realize I picked a game day, and I picked the day that the USA World Cup of Hockey game was being played. So, the whole area was packed with people. So I chose a terrible day to stay in Columbus if I wasn't going to either of those two things.
Yeah, it's fine. At least it was live and like a lot of stuff going on. So now Sully's officially in Texas working for the what's your paper called again?
It's called the Clean Daily Herald. I'm a crime guy. I stepped away from sports for a little bit. We'll see how it's going, but it's been pretty interesting so far. Some dude embezzled almost $3 million, so that was chill. Covered that. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. But Texas is awesome. You guys, you got to get down there, but I've been having a blast so far.
That's awesome. So, yeah, he's down in Texas, so we're doing most of our shows now while he's over there, and I'm still here. So I don't even know where to begin. What a wild and absurd, sad, and crazy day today has been. A lot of crap going on in the sports world. Obviously, the devastating news about Jose Fernandez this morning, absolutely gut-wrenching. Listen to that on my couch. Arnold Palmer just passed away a couple hours ago at the age of 87. And Les Miles, coach of the LSU Tigers, just got fired along with one of the offensive coordinators. A lot of stuff going on in the world today. Well, just mostly in U.S. sports. We're going to talk a little about college football over the weekend and the NFL. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about Jose Fernandez right now. It's just I'm really bummed out about it. There's not really much to say other than the fact that the guy was an absolute stud. And it's just absolutely, it's devastating. I can't believe I've been repeating in my head all day today, like, Jose Fernandez is dead. Like, I just don't, I can't accept it right now. It's unbelievable. Like, I was at a loss for words just watching television this morning. I just could not believe what had happened, considering the other day he had just had the remarkable performance against the Nationals where Mattingly had came out and said that he had pitched the best game the entire season. He was second in the league with strikeouts, and it's awful. Just awful. Like, no other way to say it.
I think the biggest thing to take away from that is that all the stories that are coming out about him aren't talking about how great of a player he was. They're just talking about how great of a person he was. I've heard a story from a minor league baseball reporter that said when he was in single A ball, he tried getting in contact with him for a story after he won Minor League Player of the Year. Tried for a couple weeks, never got a response. Finally got a call from a random number from Florida, and it was Fernandez. And he said, "I'm sorry, I was in the Dominican Republic with my family, and I didn't have a cell phone on me. Why were you calling? How can I help?" And he goes, "Oh, you won Minor League Player of the Year." And he was so genuinely happy. And they just had a conversation. He kept thanking the reporter over and over again. And the reporter goes, "I didn't vote you. I was just calling to do a story." And he goes, "It doesn't matter. I'm so happy. Thank you so much. You've gotten the gifts of him hitting his first career home run and smiling, the gift of him catching the ball with Troy Tulowitzki. He just loved baseball. He just was a great guy." And it's heartbreaking, but I guess that's really all we're going to spend on it for now. God bless his family, and
well, for more details coming out, it was a boating accident is what happened. I guess him and his buddies were traveling pretty fast on the boat, and the boat crashed into a jetty, which was close to shore on Miami, and then I guess the boat might have gone airborne, or at least got roughed up pretty bad. But there were two bodies in the water and one laying underneath the boat. And I didn't know if I had heard that there were a couple other people missing from the site as well. But man, thoughts with all their friends and family right now, including Fernandez and the other people on the boat. But all right, so we'll attack that later on maybe if we have time. But I mean, it's really sad to talk about. We had college football going on this weekend, along with some NFL games today. A little bit of the NFL today, but I just virtually got sick watching that Jets-Chiefs game. It was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Ryan Fitzpatrick, probably the worst game I've ever seen a quarterback play today. He threw 6 interceptions. 6.
Oh, my God.
The Kansas City Chiefs had 35 fantasy points today. 6 picks, and it was 8 turnovers for the Jets. They fumbled twice, too. Speaking of Ohio State and the Jets, Jalen Marshall fumbled again. He is continuously having fumble problems. It's too bad it's affecting him in the NFL right now. We'll talk about that game a little more in depth. But college, Oklahoma State. So you got a Big 12 game. How many points were scored? Was there little to no defense? Because the Big 12 loves not playing defense.
Well, it was a 35. No, it was actually a fantastic game. It started off. It was a weird game for starters. It started off with a Baylor touchdown first drive right off the bat. Big play kind of over the middle. They bring the ball downfield. Eventually a running play punches it into the end zone. And then before they can even kick the extra point, the game gets called into a weather delay because of lightning. And NCAA rule requires half an hour delay if there's lightning. I sat there for 2 hours. It was awful. It could have been worse. We just sat there and watched the LSU Auburn game, which we'll get into that in a second too. That's a crapshoot.
So wait, what was the final score of that game? Because
35-24.
Damn it! All right. So I picked Baylor to win that game when I wrote my sheet out on our blog. I picked Baylor 42-31 over Oklahoma State. So I got that.
It was a lot more defensive than I thought. I was really impressed with Baylor and its crowd. Apparently, the tailgate wasn't crazy. Drinking's kind of frowned upon there, which I didn't realize. That got a little awkward.
Texas being a religious state, I think that makes a little sense that they don't get too crazy about their stuff.
Apparently, you're not allowed to drink on campus.
Is Baylor a private school? Is it?
Is what?
Is it a public university? Is it a private school? Are they like?
It's private. It's a private Baptist.
It's probably got some strict rules then.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
But beautiful stadium. That's the biggest takeaway I have.
We had so there was some other games I want to get into as well. I wrote this about the Georgia Ole Miss game. Ole Miss would be the best team in the country if every game ended after the second quarter. I thought that they were. I knew they were going to be up big in the second half. It was just a matter of the fact that the league, Georgia's not good. They're not good at all. They look like crap, and they beat North Carolina by 10. I don't think the ACC really is that great, other than Louisville. Florida State seemed to not look very well against Louisville as well, but I'm not going to completely come out and say that they're terrible. Georgia stinks. They're not good. They got completely just manhandled by Ole Miss in this game. I
That was an awful
I picked Ole Miss to win by 10. I had them 41-31, but I think it was like 45-7 at one point. It was a disgusting game. I'm fed up with the SEC talk, man. It's ridiculous. Other than probably Alabama, I don't think that the SEC is that much of a threat to anybody. I mean, say what you want. Everyone was so happy about the Tennessee game. We'll get to that in a second. But he doesn't look that great either.
I don't think so either. But you know what? I will say it's the dominance of a couple teams that puts it in that conversation.
I think Alabama's going to murder Tennessee when they play them in a couple weeks.
They always do. They always do.
It's not that good.
Put up a fight. They've never put up a fight. But I think the reason
it was in a dogfight with UMass on Saturday too.
Yeah, I don't know. Anytime you're even competitive, and Mississippi State, you're saying?
Yeah, they had 2 pick sixes late in the game. UMass was winning at one point by 10.
Yeah, they were down at the half, 14-13. Mississippi State was, which is ridiculous. And the game was played at Gillette Stadium in front of about 350 people. I made that stat up, but I saw pictures and Snapchats.
That's definitely accurate.
There was no one there. But it was look, I'm not going to bash the SEC. I get sick, trust me. Like, I wanted Florida State to win the national championship the year that they did because I was so sick of the SEC talk. I really am very sick of it. But you kind of look at the teams that come out of there, and one year LSU is good, another year they're not. One year A&M is unbelievable, the next year not so much. Now, this year, they look pretty good. I'm on the A&M train.
I am on the A&M band just after the last game. I wasn't before. I thought they were ranked a little too high. They had a decent game against UCLA, who looked pretty good against Stanford for a little bit, but then they kind of fell off. How many games has Texas? I've ranted about this before. How many games does Texas A&M have in the state of Texas? It's ridiculous. Was that like considered a home game? I don't like how the SEC does these neutral freaking games at Jerry World. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but is that even? I mean, look, the only reason I know this is because I just drove through the whole area. But it's like 3 hours to that stadium from A&M, and it's probably about 2.5 to 3 hours from Arkansas. So does it really make a difference?
They had 3 games last year outside the state of Texas. 3.
Yeah, I don't know, but does that really even matter when you're going up against?
It does though when you play a team. When you play Arizona State, and it's a neutral game at Houston, a neutral site in Houston, where A&M. That's so ridiculous. That to me makes no sense at all. How is that a neutral site game for Arizona State? You're going to get as many fans in that stadium as Texas A&M fans are going to get.
Well, plus it's the fact that Arizona State fans they're not going to have that kind of fan base either, you know.
I picked A&M to win that game over Arkansas. I wrote that I didn't think that been ranked as high as they were. I just think that them being in the SEC helped them out. If they were in the Big 12, they would probably be ranked like 19th or 20th. But they look legit. Arkansas was a pretty good team, and they played pretty well against them. So
yeah, Arkansas is a team I can't believe is actually any good, to be honest. I feel like every year they're overhyped, and this year, hey, they're delivering.
They were that team last year that they had. They started out the season like absolute shit, and then went against Ole Miss. Remember?
Yeah.
That play where it was like 4th and 27, and they somehow like saved the game and like threw some ridiculous lob pass up in the air, and it was just idiotic how they won that game. It was crazy.
I want to go back to talking about Ole Miss because I think that I tweeted it out during the game. They really are at this point. They're 2-2, but they really were the best 1-2 team in the country in a very long time. And
they should have beat Alabama. They were up 24-3 at one point, and then they completely just puked on themselves.
That's Alabama, though. That's going to happen. You're not going to keep the game that kind of score. Like, you're going to end within a couple touchdowns at the very least. You know what I mean? So I did not expect them to keep up that progress. The tough thing was the week after.
Now I know that looking at the schedule ahead for Alabama, I remember looking specifically at their schedule that their really, really tough games the rest of the year are all on the road. But LSU is not a tough game anymore. They're not that good. They're gonna murder LSU when they play them. They're gonna play on the road at Tennessee. I'm not that impressed by Tennessee yet. There's nobody on that team that really like gets me like, oh, I'm gonna be really, really scared of them when they play I mean, the first half they looked mediocre against Florida, but then they turned it on in the second half. But it wasn't like a dominating performance where I was like sitting there thinking, wow, Alabama's going to have a real big problem with these guys. I mean, I just didn't get that vibe from Tennessee. And, yeah, it was a big win for them because it was like the first time they beat Florida in like 10 years. So, like, I get the magnitude of it, and it was just, like, it was unbearable having to listen to CBS afterwards. Like, they were so happy that Tennessee won the game. It was like for 10, 15 minutes after the game, they just kept playing Rocky Mountain Top over and over and over and over again. It was like Tennessee had won the freaking national championship. I was like, come on, get out of here. You beat a Florida team right now. If that was Alabama, that's fine. You can do whatever the hell you want. Celebrate. You beat the best team. They beat Florida. Florida beat UMass by what? 17 points? Get the hell out of here. That's ridiculous. So stupid.
I don't know, man. So what do you – we kind of already we bashed the ACC. We're in the middle of bashing the SEC. I guess let's talk some Big Ten because
it's the best conference in the country. What else is there to say?
I don't disagree with that. I mean, look at Wisconsin. And that's the thing is that parity. Like
the rankings came in, and you didn't buy the hype from once, and I should have gotten on the train that you were on as well. I was stupid to buy that because you said it from day one. LSU is overrated. They're not that good of a football team, and I was skeptical because I was like, okay, if they go in and they beat the crap out of Wisconsin, it's going to suck because the entire year we're going to hear all the Big Ten sucks. They can't even beat the SEC, and then there was a dogfight, and Wisconsin won in a classic Big Ten showdown. And then speaking of Wisconsin, kicked Michigan State's ass. That was, to me, the most surprising victory of the entire weekend because I thought that Michigan State was going to win big. They embarrassed Notre Dame. Notre Dame is awful. Holy crap, they are bad. Losing at home to Duke. They lost to Texas. Texas isn't really back anymore. They lost an embarrassing game to Cal, and Cal lost to freaking Arizona State. Arizona State almost got beat by an FCS school the week before. So I don't know what the hell is going on in South Bend. You think Brian Kelly might be on the hot seat?
Nah, there's no way. He's done a great job.
Probably staying there for life because he got him to the national championship. That's the only reason why he's going to be there.
I don't think so, man. I think last year his team was – he said last year his team was 1 year away from being at its peak. And then all of the star players left. They all left early. Will Fuller left early for the draft. C.J. Prosise left early for the draft. All these kids should be back for another year. He has 2 quarterbacks and no defense. That is – if you can sum up Notre Dame in one sentence, that is it. 2 quarterbacks, no defense. I don't know why I put the number 3 up. 2 quarterbacks, no defense.
And I'm sorry to get a little sidetracked with that because I had to bring that up with Notre Dame, but it makes sense because I mean for the while last week's game, Michigan State had just literally shoved their face in the dirt and then stuffed them in a locker, and then Wisconsin comes out and completely just lays the hammer down on them. So I'm taking Wisconsin serious. Ohio State's got to go to Madison in a couple weeks. I'm a little worried about that game. The Big Ten games are always hard-fought ones. And I criticize Wisconsin. Wisconsin's schedule, it was brutal in the next 3 weeks. Wisconsin could be a top 3 team if they win the next 3 weeks. They're going to have to play they play at Michigan State. Then next week they go to the Big House to play Michigan. Then they get a bye, and then the following week they go back home and play Ohio State.
Yeah, if they beat Michigan in the Big House, you're talking right up there with the top of everyone.
So yeah, I just think that Wisconsin's the real deal right now.
Where did this come from? Where the hell did this come from? Because I didn't see it coming, and I think I'm a pretty knowledgeable college football fan.
But Wisconsin usually recruits pretty well. And they're not obviously a top tier recruiter, but look at some of the people that have come out of Wisconsin the last 5 years. Russell Wilson, overrated J.J. Watt, but I mean still big names coming out of.
Russell Wilson is overrated.
Overrated J.J. Watt.
Oh, okay. I was J.J. Watt is also not overrated.
Okay, we'll talk about that later on. I'm going to stuff you in a locker.
Let's talk about this right now. Why is he overrated?
No, we'll get to it in a bit, but we'll get to the NFL right now. We'll finish up the college thing. Did you see my piece I wrote about J.J. Watt? I watched the Patriots game the other day. He was so freaking useless in that game. The MVP talk ever about J.J. Watt is over. Done. I don't want to hear about it anymore.
Are we going to do this right now, or are we going to?
We'll save it in a second.
All right.
We'll get back to it. But I just wanted to bring J.J. Watt up there because, he has been a Pro Bowler, a defensive player, came out of Wisconsin. Sorry, I'm getting some crazy crap going on right now in this Cowboy-Bears game right now. I just got sidetracked.
If we were doing this, I didn't want to be sidetracked.
It's just ridiculous.
What's going on?
Okay. all right, we'll get to it in a second. I'll talk about it right now. We'll try to finish up college. Getting so sidetracked right now. So we had Wisconsin. We talked about the Big Ten for a little bit. Ohio State was on bye week this week. Any other things on the Big Ten? I think that's it. Oh, newsflash: Penn State. Let's get a petition to kick them out of the Big Ten. Them and Rutgers can go. Get out.
No, Rutgers needs to be there. Not for football, but for
they're terrible in basketball too.
Not for basketball. It's the Olympic sports.
I hate Rutgers. I want them out. The only good thing about Maryland came to the Big Ten. They're not that good in football, but they're great in basketball. Rutgers they embarrassed the Big Ten.
But they're dominant in swimming. They're dominant in gymnastics. They're dominant in these other sports that brings in a certain amount of It's you know the deal.
Penn State's embarrassing, man. I can't I wrote it in the write up. I said that Penn State is going to get embarrassed. They're going to get murked by Michigan, and they did. They were embarrassed. They went to the Big House and they got smacked around for 4 quarters. And until I see an improvement from them, it's just it's disgusting.
I can't get behind anything with.
And the worst part is Ohio State's going to go there in a couple weeks, and I guarantee you that they'll somehow try to make it a close game. I hope it's not. I hope they end up running them out of the building like they did a few years ago. But all right, I think I got to bring up the Big Ten. But is it? I'm trying to pull. What was the other games that were on? I'm pulling this up right now.
You didn't really.
You want to talk about how you were right about LSU sucking and the fact that Miles got fired?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't know. I just don't – I don't watch a whole lot of SEC football. I watch Alabama almost every week. I watch Georgia usually. I like Ole Miss a lot, to be honest, so I'll watch them. But I'm not a SEC nut, I'm not – I watch Notre Dame. I watch Ohio State. I watch the primetime game. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that LSU is not very good. Their defensive line gets manhandled by by other teams, and it has from the very beginning. And everyone that was part of the big draw.
They weren't even that good last year. I don't understand why they got ranked 5 again. It's like they were hoping that Leonard Fournette was going to be this unbelievable player. As soon as he played against Bama, he was exposed. He wasn't the same player.
That's all they need to do because they have no
other guys over, but they don't win. They don't win games.
No. He's going to be a hell of an NFL player, and he might be better than Derrick Henry, to be perfectly honest. But as far as LSU as a whole, they're terrible. They're not good. I think it's long. You mentioned Les Bryles got fired today, which I had no idea until you said that. I think that's been a long time coming. I think it was ridiculous for people to keep him around last year. I think that was absurd. This obviously falls upon the head coach, whether it's because your players aren't good enough, then you're not recruiting well enough.
Because it's thought that he joins Alabama's staff.
You think he would do that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, but
showed in LSU's face.
Where would he go? There's no spot for him there. They already.
My brother made a pitch today. He wants Todd Graham out of Tempe, and he wants to bring Les Miles to Arizona State.
You think so?
No, I said, what makes you think that? And he was like, I just hate Todd Graham. So he wants Les there. I don't know where he's going to go next after this. He definitely can get a head coaching position somewhere. There is some crazy things getting spewed out today. I was reading tweets saying that Tom Herman might be thinking about going down there. It's so ridiculous. Why would Tom Herman want to leave Houston right now and go play at LSU after Houston's a top-ranked team and a way better football team than LSU? So ridiculous.
What are they? Are they joining the Pac-12?
Who? Houston?
Yeah. Who are they joining? Or not the Pac-12? The Big 12?
No, they were thinking about joining the Big 12.
I think they are next year.
Yeah, Cincinnati was trying to join too. That would not be good for them.
No, I don't know, man. The American Conference is good football. It's very good football.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What other games do we had? Oh, Stanford UCLA. That was an average game. Stanford won. Christian McCaffrey. The comparison's over. He's the only guy so far that's lived up to the Heisman hype this season. Him and JT Barrett. Everybody else has just been like, eh. Deshaun Watson's been okay.
Yeah, but is Christian McCaffrey is he gritty?
Is he gritty?
Is he gritty? Does he have a lot of grit?
I think he has grit. Yeah, he definitely does.
Is he a first one in, last one out kind of guy?
He wins big games. That's all I give a shit about. I mean, granted, he played a bowl game against overrated Iowa last year, but I mean, still, like,
is he a typical coach's son? player.
He's got a lot of grit. He's got a lot of grit.
I like this Christian McCaffrey a lot. I just think, I don't know, people. If I have to read one more freaking thing about him being, he's a white running back. There's not a lot. Shut the hell up. I don't care about. Sports Illustrated ran with a story about that last year, and I was like, all right, like you kind of already played that card with Jordy Nelson a couple months ago because they put Jordy Nelson on the cover, and the big point of his story was how people who are uneducated will be like, oh, Jordy Nelson, he's like Wes Welker, and no, they're two different types of players, and just white wide receivers. But then
it's like every black quarterback that gets compared to Warren Moon.
Yeah, I'm so sick of it. But then ESPN the magazine did the same exact story. And I read it at the beginning of college football season, and I'm like, I've read this story before, and it's just like they copied and pasted the Sports Illustrated story about how, he's a white running back, and you don't think of, and I'm like, I don't really give a shit of whether he's a white running back or not.
Everybody makes that comparison. It was like, that guy, that white receiver, he kind of reminds me of a Steve Largent. Okay, like, really? You think? It's like, to quote part of my take right there. It's just like I hate. I'm so sick of the comparison. It's ridiculous. Like every single time, like a certain person comes in is like, oh well, he kind of stands out. Not a lot of white or black people play that spot. He must be equivalent to that other famous guy that was of the same color just because of his skin color. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to tell me Russell Wilson. Oh, he's very was it Russell Wilson and very Warren Moon like. I hear that comparison. Nothing like Warren Moon. Nothing.
That's the equivalent of that is like getting Mac Miller kind of breaking through, and people asking about comparisons to Eminem. And they are completely different rappers. Eminem raps about like murdering his wife and like killing politicians in satire, and Mac Miller raps about drugs. Like they couldn't be any more different.
Exactly. All right, want to move on to the NFL?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so a lot of interesting things go today. So the Patriots, first team in NFL history to clinch the division by week 3. Completely over with. Everybody in the AFC sucks. I can't figure the Bills out. They looked horrible in the first 2 weeks, and then they beat Arizona today. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me at all. The Jets played the most atrocious game of the last 2 years today. 8 turnovers against the Chiefs. Ryan Fitzpatrick, or a.k.a. Ryan Sixpatrick, threw 6 picks against the Chiefs. I can't imagine what it's like to be a Jets fan. It's just got to be the worst thing in the world. It's awful. You got any takes on some of the games today? You watch anything or no?
I didn't get to watch enough. All I can say is that I heard while I was watching the Cowboys game. Also, weird being in Cowboy land. Everyone just assumes you're a Cowboys fan. It sucks. And I bought an A&M hat to fit in when I got down here, and I wore it to Walmart today. And the kid was like, "Go home. You're not going to be late for the Cowboys game." I'm like, I don't give that much of a shit. But I think Dak Prescott, even though he hasn't been flashy, he's been solid under center. How about the Eagles today beating the crap out of the Steelers?
Carson Wentz, man, he looks so comfortable in the park I was just saying, he like in the pocket, he looks great. It's unbelievable. And the craziest thing is Jared Goff hasn't even got into the game yet. Like they're both on the completely different ends of the spectrum. He hasn't even started a game out in LA yet. And you got the other guy, Wentz, who everybody was ripping on. Oh, North Dakota State player. He's not going to play in the NFL. He's going to suck. And then look at it now. The Eagles are 3-0. I'm not going to go out and crown them kings of the NFC East just yet. I'm not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. But the fact of the matter is, the Eagles, who have they played this year? They beat Pittsburgh. They beat Cleveland was one other win. But they had another game I thought that it was a tough one. Actually, no, they played the Bears and them. So I guess not. Pittsburgh was a solid win today, though. So I'll give them that. But yeah, Eagles look good pretty so far.
I mean, I hate Carson Wentz because he's a North Dakota State guy, and as a UNH guy, I can't support anyone from that school. But how much of a problem do you think? What are you shaking your head for?
Just you being a UNH guy and you hate North Dakota State is the most absurd thing ever.
Why is that absurd? They
won the championship 5 years in a row.
Because they smash any chance UNH ever has of taking home hardware. So yeah, that's why they beat UNH 2 years ago in the FCS championship game. They won it last year, they won it last year too, but they won it 2 years ago. And if UNH had beaten Eastern Illinois, they would have played them, so they still would have lost. So I don't like them. I don't know. They're too good.
I get that. One game I want to talk about right now is the Thursday night football game between the Pats and the Texans. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up is because the Patriots, to me, it is unbelievable how they've been able to just figure out ways to win with not only a second-string quarterback, but third-string quarterback. And all I was thinking the entire time watching that game was there's a guy on the Texans. He's a big-name player. He gets a lot of hype. Everybody thinks he can possibly be an MVP winner. But he for some reason, did he play in the game? I don't think he played.
Brock Osweiler?
Close, yeah. The amount of times I hear about J.J. Watt being the possible MVP at the end of the season, his stats look good on paper. But, my stats would look good too if I was a big guy his size and I played the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Titans 4 times a year. Great way to rack up stats. I just think he's right now, I'm saying it right now, J.J. Watt is the most overrated player in the NFL.
That is not true in the slightest.
Okay, so every big game that the Texans play in, the defense just gets knocked around, and having him on the field is completely irrelevant and useless. He gets neutralized every single time by a good team.
Yeah, because you know why? Because everyone they have around him, look, Clowney, not there yet. Not the player people thought he was going to. Big Daddy Vince. Yeah, great if this were 4 years ago, but it's not, and he's old, and he's more of a name than he is of actual body anymore. Brian Cushing, yeah, awesome at linebacker, great. You got one. Their quarterback situation is awful. It's so easy to pick apart a defense when their biggest threat is one person. That is why, and there's been this discussion before, J.J. Watt, the reason the Texans will suck for the next few years is because J.J. Watt is the highest player on that team. That I can get behind you if you want to agree somewhere in the middle ground, but that doesn't make him overrated. It's not his fault he cashed in on a big pay.
First things first, I'll tell you this right now. Von Miller, who played for the Broncos last year, was a guy you look at on paper and you're like, that guy is a problem. We have to neutralize him. And it's hard to maintain him during the game.
But he's not the only one on that.
Rodgers, he beat up on Tom Brady, and then he embarrassed Cam Newton in front of the entire world in the Super Bowl. And don't even try to tell me the Houston Texans aren't very good because they don't have a quarterback. The Broncos didn't have a quarterback last year either. Peyton Manning was awful.
I mean, that's not what I was saying. Is that
atrocious? It was completely useless. It was not the reason why they got to the Super Bowl. You know it.
Let me talk. What I'm saying is that yes, Von Miller wasn't making absurd amounts of money though. The Texans can't afford to pay a quarterback good money. They had to throw a shit ton at Osweiler, who is not worth the amount he got. That is why they will not be good. It's because they can't go out and get a top 10 quarterback. Osweiler is not top 10. He probably never will be. That is their problem. They have one of the best wide receivers in the league.
I'm not talking about the offense. I'm talking about the defense.
Okay, then I'll talk about the defense. Name one other player that has any meaningful impact other than Brian Cushing. There's no one else on that line that scares me. Clowney doesn't scare me. Are you kidding me?
It's the fact is, if you're going to bring up in a conversation that this guy is an MVP caliber player, and you're telling me that when the Texans play the Patriots every single year since he's been in the league, every year the Texans and the Patriots would play each other. The Texans are 0-5 against the Patriots, and they have been outscored by the Patriots 171-79. So you're going to try and tell me that an MVP caliber player like J.J. Watt, who is so good on defense that he has to be feared, that there's a guy who could single-handedly take over the game, you're telling me that he is so completely useless against one of the best teams in the NFL like the Patriots? He should at least have somewhat of an impact on the game. The guy had 2 tackles the other night against New England. He was completely neutralized, and the Patriots won with a third-string quarterback. Third-string.
The thing is, though, is that you're having 2 different arguments. I'm not saying he should win the MVP award because I'm a huge believer that MVP strictly means most valuable, meaning your team has to actually be.
I'm saying it would have even made a difference if J.J. Watt was or wasn't on the field against the Patriots. They still would have got their ass kicked, even if he had played on the field.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant. They just would have attacked it in a completely different way. Like if his backup was playing, the score would have been way higher than it was. The fact is, Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, and it's really easy to pick apart one player, no matter whether they have a third-string quarterback or not.
Well, he wasn't able to figure it out with Von Miller.
I mean, then you go back, and Denver's whole defense was good. They had lockdown cornerbacks.
Miller had like 5 or 6 sacks in the game against Brady.
Yeah.
He was the player of the game.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't neutralized by anybody. So why are you going to try here and trying to tell me that J.J. Watt is he's not even the same category as Von Miller. He's not.
Yeah, they're the same category. What, elite? They're both elite.
No, not compared to Von Miller. No, they're not.
Okay, Von Miller is the best defensive lineman in the league. Like we can all agree on that.
By a long shot. Not even J.J. Watt's not even close.
Okay, but who's number 2?
I wouldn't give it to J.J. Watt.
Who is it then?
I don't know. I just would have done to give it to J.J. Watt.
It's absolutely J.J. Watt.
I just think that in big games he hasn't shown up. Everyone to criticize.
Games that they played, like other.
They're going to get their ass kicked by the Patriots.
But they don't get the chance to play in big games.
They put on a freaking toaster every year by knowing
quarterback.
They go to New England, you go to Foxborough, and it's a freaking big year. The Texans defense gives up like 40 points every year to the Patriots. They lost 41-28 in the playoffs a few years ago. They lost 10-45 a few years ago. And if you're going to sit here and tell me that this guy is that good of a defensive player, then he should at least be taking over the game and at least be making more plays than what he is. The fact of the matter is he is nowhere to be found on the field when he plays the better teams. I remember a few years ago, Houston was 5-0 coming into the year. Everyone was like, oh, J.J. Watt and this Houston Texans defense, they're going to disrupt Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to kick his ass. Game's going to be in Houston, and th're going to have no chance. And then the Packers come out, and Rodgers throws 6 touchdown passes, and they win the game like 48-10. And then, J.J. Watt, though, he's going to really take over the game right here, and he's going to make a huge difference. I'm tired of hearing about it. Is he a good player? Yeah, he is. He's a good player, but I just think he's overrated. There's way too much hype that goes into it. You can – as you want on table about how, he's recorded 20-plus sacks in 2 seasons. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care if you record 20 sacks a season. I want you to – you're good by the way you play against elite teams, and he doesn't show up in elite games.
Because it's so easy to neutralize. Look, we can sit here and argue back and forth all day. All I'm saying is when his contract is up and he ends up on a team that's actually good and he takes –
Yeah, remember he signed that big deal? He's with Houston for like 6 years.
Yeah, so when that goes up or he opts out if he can't opt out and he ends up on a team that can actually play that has a supporting cast, you're going to see a whole different player. And maybe I'm going to be proven wrong because it'll be past his prime and then I'm going to eat my words. But all I'm saying is that if you had anyone else on that defense, like I don't know. I don't think he's overrated. Now, is he the MVP? No, definitely not. But I don't think he's overrated.
I just think that, like, he's a good player, but the amount of, like, media attention, it's just like ESPN overhypes him every single season. And it's just like, and when there's, like, big games.
He's Disney. J.J. Watt is Disney. He, like, doesn't cuss. I don't know.
No, he's a great guy. He's a good role model and stuff. I just think
that's why he's overhyped. And like,
you can be a good guy. It doesn't mean you're a good player in, like, I mean, a great, like, fantastic, like, elite player in big time moments. And I think that, like, Houston fans are too afraid right now, I think, to, like, criticize his play in games like that. They're not going to rip on him because he's all they got, like, technically, for big name guys. But the fact of the matter is, you pay a guy that amount of money, you want him to show up in games like that. And the fact of the matter is, he can't do any damage. Like, it's not even the fact that, like, he's making a few plays and stuff. He's had a couple against the Cincinnati Bengals, but they haven't won a playoff game in 30 years. They're not like a team that I see on paper. I'm like, you have to, like, really step up and make a big play against them, because I think most likely than not, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot and ruin their chances of winning the football game either way. But when you play teams like the Patriots and the Broncos, you have to be somewhat relevant during the game. And the Patriots just have his number. And I can't take a player that serious on the defensive side who can't go into the game and take over the game. Defensive all-star needs to show up, and J.J. Watt doesn't. And that's why I don't think I think he's kind of overrated.
We could talk about this back and forth all day, but anything else you want to talk about NFL before we move on?
No, that's about it. I'm just happy that the Packers are playing a little bit better. Rodgers looked good in the first half. Oh Jesus, the Bears just fumbled the ball. They're awful. That's another thing that's great. Being a Packer fan is like right now they didn't look too great against Minnesota, who looks absolutely great. Nothing's phasing them right now. But yeah, so far so good. Bears suck. Packers aren't too bad. I criticized Aaron Rodgers a little bit last week in one of the posts I wrote. I just think that they give a lot of the heat to the Green Bay play calling, which is not very good to begin with, and I don't think Mike McCarthy is that great of a coach. But there's a lot of plays that Aaron Rodgers hasn't been making. Like he's been missing a lot of throws, and the offense was looking a little out of sync. But it looked better today, so I'm happy about that. And
I was listening to John Clayton last night, and he said that his numbers are down significantly. Like
he hadn't had a game with a QBR rating over 115 games.
Right.
So easy to have those kind of numbers. It's hard to repeat them, but like when you think that he would be like, it wouldn't take this long to like figure out what the funk is going on, and it's just like I don't know. It's a strange situation right now, but they looked a little bit better. They did play Detroit, but we'll see what happens. They have a bye week next week, so we'll see. But I'd like to see them like figure it out and get back to being consistent again.
We're gonna roll with a list. We're gonna draft best, worst football viewing party foods. So like the food that people put out, and you're like, oh, are you kidding me? You couldn't have gotten wings, and then you end up eating them anyway. So do you want to start off, or should I?
You can go first. Go ahead. You go.
All right. My first one is vegetables with dip. Like vegetables with
hummus. That was gonna be mine. Like anyone who brings celery, those people can rot in hell.
Right, but the thing is that you still eat that. And you're lying if you say you don't.
I don't eat it.
You don't eat the celery?
Hell no. Celery is disgusting. I hate it.
Well, what if they bring like a medley of it and there's carrots and tomatoes and like?
I don't like that stuff though. I don't like it.
Vegetables? You don't like vegetables?
I do, but like when I'm at a viewing party, I don't like to eat vegetables. It's just not. Why would I want to eat that?
That's what I'm saying too.
I want chips and wings and like any other like better appetizers, but like no veggies. Get the hell out of here. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I still eat them. You put anything in front of me, I'll eat it.
But why would you put yourself through that? No, you're generally lying if you say that you enjoy it.
Oh no, I don't. I still eat it though. That's what I'm saying.
Forcing yourself. So why would you do that?
I don't know, man. I get the eating problem. Right?
Come on, Sully. Have some more respect for yourself, for God's sakes. Jesus.
Do you have anything else?
Like I'm thinking like that is like the most disrespectful thing anyone could do is like
pretzels. I think pretzels is up there too.
Yeah, I like pretzels though.
Yeah, but I still don't want to eat them on game day. I want to eat
pretzels and hummus is like one of my favorite snacks. I like that. I like eating those. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of something on the top of my head where I'm just like, wow, like why did you do that? Like why did you bring that out? Like this is horrible. But
I got one soda, straight soda.
Like any kind of regular soda or?
Yeah. So like for me, I'm like I either want to be drinking like alcohol or just having a couple bottles of water, staying hydrated. And if someone puts like a big 2-liter thing of Coke in front of me, I'm still gonna drink it, but I'm not happy about it. It's like, well, where's the rum? Why didn't you bring the rum?
I can't think of anything right now that I'm not really too picky with like the appetizer foods besides the veggies. Like that, I can see it right now, that little dip bowl in the middle, and they have all the little veggies around here, and it's just the worst thing ever. It's oh yeah, this is what we want to eat while we're watching the football game. Like, oh my God, like what is wrong with people? Like, that's the only thing I can think of right now. I'm probably gonna figure out a few things down the road that I generally despise that people bring out, but other than that, I can't really think of anything else right now.
I'm going to throw a Super Bowl party, and I'm only going to bring veggies and dip.
If someone brought like trail mix with raisins, I'd be pissed. I don't know.
All right. Now, do you want to go into your sports myths?
Yeah. So this is something that just like bothered me for the longest time. Like, there's no way that Mickey Mantle hit a 565-foot home run. There's no way that happened.
I mean, I wasn't there. I've heard he hit it.
I heard the story is that like he hit the ball, it went out of the stadium. It was at like the Tiger Stadium, I think it was in Detroit, and they measured it based on it landing outside of the stadium and like rolling. So the ball rolled to somebody's like house, and then that's where the kid found it, and that's where they measured it. It was like 565 feet. There's no way he did that. It's zero chance. I understand. I heard he like had a couple like he was a home run hitter. Yeah, I get it. But you're gonna try and tell me that Mickey Mantle in the 1950s, who's a booze bag guy, who was getting drunk literally every single day, and compare it to a guy like Jose Canseco, and you're gonna try to tell me the booze bag Mantle it was hitting bombs farther than Jose Canseco? Freaking banana land. That's crazy. It's like I remember, what was it? There was a home run that Canseco hit in 1989, like in an ALCS series with the Blue Jays, and it went into like the third or fourth deck at the Sky Dome, and it's just that was when they were on like full roid rage, and I was like, it was like something like a 527-foot home run, and it was still like 38 or 39 feet short of the Mantle home run, which is ludicrous. There's no way that happened.
I don't know. I think stadiums are just bigger now, so it's hard to be able to hit it out of stadiums. So it obviously doesn't roll if it's bouncing around in the seats.
Didn't Bryce Harper hit like a 575-foot home run?
Yeah, but it was with an aluminum bat. Yeah, and it would have gone further because I guess it hit the back wall at Tropicana Field.
Oh, was that Tropicana? That's where he hit it?
It was at Tropicana. It was the National High School Baseball All-Star Game, and he made it. And they had a home run derby the day before. Yeah, I guess it was like a line drive.
Damn, that's incredible. I can't see. Like, I just think that like with the amount of working out and like endurance a lot of the athletes have these days, and then you compare it with like the guys that were hitting bombs in the steroid era. I just there's no way somebody could have done it with that power. And all these myths about Mantle, like amount of drinking he did and stuff like that. It just I don't see how like that kind of effect on his body would allow him to be able to perform to that level and to hit a ball that far. I mean, I'm not saying that every guy back in the day didn't have like a powerful swing. Like there are definitely guys that could put a lot of pop on the ball, but I just don't think that Mantle could have possibly done that. It just seems ridiculous to me. Considering that nobody here even comes close. Every time Giancarlo Stanton gets up to the plate and it hits like a freaking bomb at the Marlins Park, and it goes all the way to the back like setting, and they're like, oh, that ball traveled 470 feet. Every time he hits the ball, I think it's going like 700 feet. Like someone hits a far home run, and I think it's going to get to the 500 leg point. I always tell myself, oh, wow, 65 feet short of that Mantle home run. And I think to myself, I'm like, no way.
Well, so will it ever be broken?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that like someone with incredible bat speed and maybe someone sneaking around with the steroids at a young age is the only way it's going to get done. I
honestly don't think it will because look at like who's the best athlete in the MLB? I'm talking athletes.
I think the Canseco home run in Toronto is the farthest home run I've ever seen hit, and I think the other one that Mark McGwire hit in Seattle, which was like in the early '90s, was like a moonshot as well. That was probably farther than anything Mantle hit in his career.
I don't know. I've actually heard this on like WEI before. People arguing, like saying that Ortiz has definitely hit home runs longer than Ted Williams' longest home run at Fenway. Which that red seat that marks Ted Williams' home, I didn't realize it was bleachers when Ted was playing. They put new seats in, so like that kind of roots the nostalgia for me a little bit, knowing it's not the same seat.
Yeah,
but I don't know. All right, you go with the other myth you have, and I'll try and think of one on the spot.
I just the other thing I was just talking about, the whole thing with like Gatorade, I think is just ridiculous. It's still like sports like oriented. Like anybody who drinks like Gatorade for like hydration or like during workouts and stuff, you know how like those commercials of them jogging around and they're sweating like the colors of the Gatorade and like they're doing all this stuff. Like Gatorade is not really a sports drink. It's not. It's a tasty juice.
I actually I took a.
It's got like 30 grams of sugar in every bottle.
Yeah, it's got a ton of calories in it.
It's got like 150 calories in each bottle.
Yeah. That's like almost as much as a bottle of soda.
There was a guy I was working with at the supermarket years ago. He had told me that he had gained weight from drinking Gatorade. He was convinced that he had gained weight from drinking Gatorade at And I'm not saying that like, oh, if you drink Gatorade continuously, you're not gonna like gain weight or stuff like that. But like I don't understand why it's so sport oriented. The commercials, they make it look like it's like this pre-workout or like this like weight like this like protein powered thing. It's gonna like make you're gonna perform better in the game if you drink Gatorade. I'm like, I think that like if you just drink some water like in between, you'll do just as fine. I think it's even better. And what's the whole thing with electrolytes? Is electrolytes like a real thing? Like,
yeah, man, you've never been hungover and drank Gatorade and felt better?
That's different. That's different.
How is that different?
That's a great Gatorade as a performance drink for being hungover. I love drinking Gatorade when I'm hungover, but it's not something that I'm like, like has an effect on me when I'm in like in a sports game. Like, oh, like if I drink this Gatorade, I'm gonna perform way better. I'm gonna go out and hit like 2 home runs or start draining threes or something.
So a couple things. I took a sports nutrition, sports anatomy class, and it was actually all rolled into one. It was kinesiology. But the professor, he said a big thing is that like, yeah, if you're Usain Bolt, if you're a professional athlete and you're training, you want Gatorade because you're burning that many calories. If you're like little Johnny Hopkins down the street and you're going to soccer practice where you sit around and scratch your butt for 45 minutes, like don't give your kid a Gatorade afterwards because a lot of times if your kid's obese or if they're a little bit chubby and they're really like exercise is going to be good for them. Any exercise they got in that practice is just being wasted because you're handing them a Gatorade that's meant for like RG3 or a real big athlete that's sweating, doing like Olympic-worthy training, and you're just handing them something for their like 45 minutes of kicking a soccer ball around where they didn't sweat. Because like they probably can't sweat yet because they're like 9 years old.
See, I'm just more of a water guy when I'm just running around or like doing stuff like that. I don't know, just
the other thing is that in game you're supposed to drink water. After the game is when Gatorade's like appropriate.
What was that thing that they had the pre-Gatorade, then like the during, and then the post Gatorade thing?
It's like it was like a liquid gel, and that's like energy. It had like caffeine in it, and then the during is regular Gatorade.
Oh, it's bullshit. It's so ridiculous.
It's not bullshit. It's just like they're marketing it and like marking the price up. It's protein. It's protein. It's caffeine. Like you can also have like vitamins before you work out. I don't know. It's gonna be way cheaper, but
yeah. Gatorade's gonna be going into the new GNC. Like that's where it belongs now. You can't get it at CVS anymore. You can only get it at GNC. I don't know. I definitely agree with you. The thing that Gatorade works for is when you're like, it's a great hangover drink. That one I absolutely agree with. Did you think of any other like sport myths or anything like that? Oh my god. Sorry, I just got distracted again. Zeke and Elliott just jumped over some dude. That was awesome. Did you have any more sport myths, by the way, that you were thinking?
No, honestly, I don't have anything. I don't really have anything at all.
I thought I had one more thing that I wanted to bring up. Oh, perfect. I just remembered. Okay, rant time. Another gun. I got a good rant, okay? What's the deal with these loser vegetarians getting a petition to get a veggie burger at In-N-Out Burger? You hear about this?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Why?
I don't know. Why not?
A bunch of whiny babies that just want to cause more problems. That's all I see it as.
Oh, so let them petition. If In-N-Out wants to do it, they'll get a veggie burger. If they don't want
to a burger joint wanting a vegetarian option, why don't you just go somewhere else to get a veggie option?
Because In-N-Out's really, really cheap. Have you ever had In-N-Out?
Yes, I have.
What do you think?
It's good.
I want detailed opinions. What do you think?
I haven't had it since like 2007 or 2008. I was supposed to go get it last year because they have one in Arizona. I mean, it's good. I like it.
It's good. Here's what I think. There's one.
You think it's overrated?
There's one half a mile down the street from me.
Okay.
If it costs more money, it wouldn't be as good. The big draw is that it's like $2.70 and you get a really good cheeseburger. And it's fresh. The beef tastes fresh. The onions feel like you just cut them up yourselves. The lettuce and tomato feels like you just cut it up yourself. That's what I get with In-N-Out.
So you would but I would pay top dollar for stuff like that. If it's like fresh quality beef and like the veggies and all that stuff, it's good too.
I mean, I would, but not necessarily for that. Their fries are not good. They're straight up, the fries are bad at In-N-Out. That is.
But I just think this whole thing just ties in this idea that people like these days just complain about literally everything, and they just have nothing better to do. So like they just get together. All right, guys, what should we do today to piss people off? I know what we should do. Let's go demand that we get a veggie option at In-N-Out Burger. Like that just to me seems like the worst kind of people. They're just always looking to nitpick and find stuff out. It's like you don't see me going into like a vegan style restaurant complaining, oh yeah, this sucks. Like everything here is for vegans. You got like tofu and stuff. Where's the meat? Like you don't have guys coming in like complaining about like not having meat options at like a veggie style restaurant. Like you just don't see that. You know why? Because we don't care. It's the crowd that is associated with these people. It's just like I don't think they really care for a veggie option. If they really did, they wouldn't be complaining at In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah,
I want to get the option.
I don't have it. You clearly have a bigger problem about this than I do. I don't really care either way. But
It's just people complaining and causing a scene.
But I just want to know, why do you pick In-N-Out Burger? Because there's like 4 things on the In-N-Out menu, and they're all
exactly my point.
They're all beef unless it's fries or a milkshake. So maybe they really like the milkshake. No, well, yeah, I guess if they're vegetarians, they can have milkshakes.
No, they just want to cause a problem. That's what they want.
Potato lives matter. Potato lives matter.
And it's just like I can't like get behind something like this when like there's other places in like the year 2016. We're not living in the 1950s here, people. There's not just McDonald's in one place down the street. You can go eat. You have all these options that you can go to go get food, and I just don't see why people are using.
I have your explanation for you. Where is In-N-Out based out of? Where are they most notorious?
Oh yeah, great point, California.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Exactly. But like the thing is, if you're living in California and you're living in a busy spot, you're gonna try and tell me it's somewhere in LA or San Diego or San Francisco, but it's probably where it started in San Francisco, that they literally don't have any other vegetarian options. Craziness. It's ridiculous. They definitely do have options out there to go get like vegetarian style food. I don't want to hear that that's why I think it's just them complaining. Like they're so miserable that they want to just go and piss people off. So they use one of my favorite P words, petition, to just change things. It just, oh God, why? It's just like
I have 2 things, and then I'll wrap this up. One, the only valid reason I can see them being like, hey guys, In-N-Out Burger, really cheap. I want to have food that cheap. Let's petition In-N-Out Burger so we can get veggie burgers really cheap. That's the only thing I can see like being a logical sense of reasoning. Also, it's hilarious how badly both of us want to live in California, but we have talked more crap about that entire state and its inhabitants on this podcast than I think anyone has in the history.
I just want to go there for the weather. I don't really care for the people that much.
Well, the people's half of it, man. If the people like in Western Massachusetts, like not really fun, mostly because of who lived there. Like I met some awesome people there, but 90% of the time when I met awesome people there, they were transplants. They weren't from there. I mean, I don't know. I hope like I don't mean to bash that whole region, but like here in Texas, I'm liking it a lot. You know why? Because I like go into grocery stores and people smile and ask, how y'all doing today? That was a terrible Southern accent. I'm working on it. And like, it's really friendly, really friendly. The people are in the fast food line. They converse with you. They ask you how your day's going. They give a shit. I don't know.
I get that, but I just think it's just like, I don't know. To me, like this whole situation, it just seems ridiculous. And like when I worked at the restaurant in Columbus at Chop Shop, like we had a veggie burger option, but like it's just, I think it's starting to boil down to just more and more things to complain about. It's like, oh, you guys have veggie burgers here? Yeah, we do. Are they gluten-free veggie burgers? No, they're not. Like it's just gonna be like one thing after another, and I feel like if you're gonna go complain like at another restaurant, that's fine. But In-N-Out Burger is just traditionally hamburgers. No, not veggie burgers.
I think it would make more sense if we're at like Wendy's or Shake Shack or something like that. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Also, Whataburger. They have Whataburgers down here. Haven't had a burger yet, but the fries, unreal. Also, I could go on for days about food down here. Buc-ee's. It's this ridiculous. It's a super gas station down here. Thought it was weird. Went in last night on the way home from the Baylor game. Pretty expensive, but just like unreal food. I got a turkey sandwich. I thought I was trying to be healthy. They like deep fried the whole thing. It was nuts.
Oh, geez. That's
I got
not a very healthy option right there.
I was like, turkey sandwich, lettuce, tomato, pickle. Boom. Like, I'm an onion, I think. I was like, yeah, I'm being relatively healthy. Nah, the whole thing was greasier than a cheeseburger. It was nuts.
All right, so that's all I have right now. Do you have anything else you have to add?
Nah, thanks for listening. I'm going to the Austin City Limits Music Festival in 2 weeks. So I'm
That's
just
gonna
gonna,
be dope. I'm really, really jealous of that.
I'm excited. I've already seen Mumford and Sons. Actually, I've kind of seen a lot of people that are headlining. I've seen Kendrick before. I've seen Mumford and Sons, but Radiohead's going to be there. I'm relatively excited for that. Rah 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 is going to be performing. Also, I've seen them, but I'm excited for that. M83 is going to be there. Cold War Kids are going to be there. I haven't seen either of them. There's a pretty solid lineup of Chris Stapleton. He's going to be there. I'm pretty excited. A lot of competition. There's a lot of sets that I'm going to miss because of other sets, and I'm not too happy about that. But that's a music festival for you, I guess.
All right, well, there you hear it. So, get another episode of Zach and Silly. Make sure to like us on Facebook. Listen to our show as much as we can. Sorry. I wasn't sure what the hell you were doing there for a second, but as always, I'm Zach, live from Mass. He's Sully, live from Texas, and we'll see you guys soon.
See you, y'all.